We are entering a new world order, a time where the world has transitioned from being under a Judeo-Christian world order to a satanic Luciferian world order. In a new world order, the world is no longer under the rule and worship of Elohim, but now Satan is being worshipped as God, and the world is now under and accepting his doctrine and values. For more understanding of this, please watch my video on a new world order. In this coming new world order, the whole world will be drastically different. But one thing that needs to be understood right now is the spiritual and religious aspect, because this is the transition that is happening as we speak. Remember, I just explained that Satan will be worshipped as God, and the world would accept and be under his doctrine and values. This doesn't happen because of war, economic collapse, and political turmoil. This happens through carefully engineered marketing campaigns that have promoted his doctrine and values as normal and practical. What was once good would be looked at as evil, and what was once evil would be looked at as good. The misconception is that everyone believes that this will come under a general acceptance of the religion of Satanism. That when this happens, everyone will label themselves as actual Satanists who worship the devil. But this is not true, and where the problem truly lies. Because even some Satanists would tell you that they do not worship Satan, but that they worship themselves. And more importantly, they worship lawlessness, being able to do what you want. Aleister Crowley sums it up as, "Do as thou wilt," which apparently Jay-Z agrees with. But their philosophy is, do what you want. But even that will not be the general belief accepted by the world. Satan does not want people to just to do what they want. He wants them to do what Elohim does not want. There is a very big difference. And Satan will not come in his name. He never does. He comes under an umbrella of deception that masks who he is, as he has done throughout world history. The world will not come under a belief of Satanism, and it will not be forced into conversion of Islam. These are all misunderstandings. The religion and belief are actually being accepted right now by the masses, and this is what we need to discuss. It is very subtle and highly deceptive, and it's a high probability that you have been exposed to some of its doctrine and have maybe even agreed with a view or two from it. The Antichrist, or anti-Messiah, cannot come about until the world is ready to accept him. Like I said, he's not waiting for the world to convert to Satanism and or Islam. He doesn't need this. What he needs is for the world to reject the values of Elohim and accept his values. He doesn't care whether you worship him by name. He's the author of deception. He has many names. What he wants is for you to worship him in your heart. And he has introduced a new religion that has been made much easier to accept for this wicked generation. It's called the New Age religion, and I will discuss it with you now. Let's begin.
The New Age movement is a spiritual system of thought and practice, composed of beliefs, values, and traditions from various schools and religions throughout the world. The New Age movement is an umbrella term for topics including Buddhism, Hinduism, mysticism, Gnosticism, paganism, pantheism, occultism, esotericism, witchcraft, meditation, yoga, psychedelics, channeling, divination, sorcery, mind science, reincarnation, astral projection, UFOlogy, spiritual psychology, law of attraction, manifestation, etc. The New Age is a collection of beliefs and practices aimed at bringing enlightenment. The goal is to raise consciousness to a higher vibration, using divination and occult practices to a level of self-divinity.
Doctrine can be summed up into enlightenment, illumination, reaching a higher consciousness, being the best that you can be. You know, all that sounds great and harmless to the trusting general public. I mean, why shouldn't we want to be the best person we could be? Why wouldn't we want to reach a higher level in our lives? Why wouldn't we want to know the best ways to become successful and live like the elite? Through this New Age doctrine of self-help, self-esteem, and self-reliance, we replace Elohim with ourselves. We put the burden of success, peace, love, and happiness on ourselves, slowly but surely releasing our reliance on Elohim. We are now gods, and our mission is to obtain a higher level of consciousness. When you hear it, it does not sound like a religion, just a way of thought. How to change your thinking in order to obtain success and have better relationships. This higher level of consciousness is often referred to as Christ consciousness. The blasphemy that the New Age promotes is that Jesus was not the Son of God, and just a prophet that had a message. They claim he was able to do all of his miracles because he reached the top level of consciousness. This is what Christ consciousness is. Only the Christ, who they refer to as Lord Maitreya, will return and teach us all how to get there. This is blasphemy. The point is that this is what self-help and New Age doctrine leads to. The Antichrist will be the Lord Maitreya because he will seem to be able to fix the world's biggest problems. Because he seems that he is able to do what nobody else has been able to do, he will eventually be worshipped, like a Superman type figure. New Age is not just a thought that people subscribe to. It is the sum of thoughts that people subscribe to. It is a religion for the New Age, also known as the Age of Aquarius, which is prophesied but yet to come. These same general beliefs are practiced by witches, Freemasons, pagans, Satanists, Uriba priestess, Baha'i, Christian Science, Unity churches, and many more. What unifies the New Age is the foundational belief that there are many equally valid beliefs and techniques that enlighten and liberate an individual. Not all groups use the same terminology, but they respect one another and focus upon unity and diversity. You've heard this many times before, but probably not explained like this. A proper phrase of this thinking is, whatever works for you. They believe in many different paths to the worship of the same God. As a believer in the Messiah, aka Kodashim, aka Christian, must be very careful in today's modern churches. Many churches are sprouting up, coming under the mask of Christianity, but are acting subtly teaching doctrine from the New Age.
The New Age movement, but in reality, there's nothing new about it at all. In fact, its roots go all the way back to the dawn of civilization, back to Eden, where Adam and Eve were told by Satan that if they ate of the forbidden fruit, they would become like God. And of course, it had its origins with Satan himself. When you look at Isaiah 14, where it says of Lucifer that he would ascend to God's throne, and he said he would become like the Most High.
And if you think about it, what did Satan do in the Garden of Eden? He tricked Eve into thinking God was hiding information from her, information that would make her powerful. God told you the tree would kill you? No, he's lying. It will really make you like God. He hasn't told you the whole story, or he's hiding something from you. That's been Satan's strategy from the beginning, and that's why Gnostics and New Agers honor the serpent as the real God, and Jehovah is evil to them. The God of the Bible is evil. He's the one that has enslaved us, or tried to. So you have to think about this. How do you get the entire world to buy into the satanic lie that we're all God and all part of this universal cosmic brotherhood? Now, the actual teachings themselves, coming from Blavatsky and Alice Bailey, have indeed been very successful in helping to further this end. And right now you have the United Nations working with several New Age groups that are helping to educate the world in these occult principles. So there are millions of people all over the world who have already accepted these teachings, and many of these teachings have seeped into the churches even. Churches now are accepting channeled messages about Jesus, which are, obviously coming from a fallen angel. So this New Age thing is already very widespread. And Oprah is obviously a big influence, but there's a lot of the world left over that rejects this stuff for whatever reason, whether they're still Christians, whether they're Muslims. And there's still a lot of very secular people around the world who don't ever really consider the possibility that there's even a God or, any kind of supernatural realm. So much of the world, probably even most of it still, has yet to be initiated into this New Age lie. So how do you pull it off? How do you get the entire world to buy into this stuff? What I believe will be a masterful grand deception by Satan, which again has been to build up both the idea and the reality of a frightening, scary control matrix world government, which I call the counterfeit New World Order, that is being slowly revealed to mankind in order to ignite within mankind a Gnostic New Age awakening, which will then be his cue to come in the flesh as the next New Age Christ, the Antichrist, and establish the real deal New World Order of Lucius Trust, Alice Bailey, and the Theosophical Society, the peaceful brotherhood of man, worldwide harmony. Alex Jones is part of a bigger program, and I know it might sound crazy to say that the biggest conspiracy theorist in the world is actually part of a bigger conspiracy than anything he reveals on his show, but I'm convinced that this is what's going on. He is part of the larger Gnostic army that is building up anger among the human population against the Illuminati in order to ignite a New Age awakening and make humanity realize that they're God, which I believe is the lie specifically referred to in 2 Thessalonians, which I cited back in the beginning of part 1. 2 Thessalonians 2:11-12 says, quote, "For this reason God sends them a powerful delusion so that they believe the lie, and so that all will be condemned who have not believed the truth, but have delighted in wickedness." Too many people just think of overtly evil acts like murder, rape, and torture when they think of wickedness. You have to understand wickedness from a biblical worldview. You have to try and see how God sees it. And sure, murder, rape, and torture are wicked acts, but that's not all that wickedness encompasses. If you believe you are God, you are delighting in wickedness. For a created finite creature to think that it's part of the all-creative force is wicked. To deny that you are in sin and to think you don't need Jesus Christ's sacrifice on the cross is wicked. So when the whole world becomes initiated into the New Age, when Christianity is finally thrown out, when the Bible's thrown out, when everybody loves everybody else and is living in peace, it's going to be the most wicked time on this planet. Notion of white magic versus black magic that is very foundational to the New Age paradigm. And this is the important point to understand, the notion of white magic versus black magic. You have to understand this because this is actually what is being used with the whole idea of the counterfeit or false New World Order being overthrown by the true New World Order. What's essentially happened is that they have been recruited onto Team White Magic that is going to defeat Team Black Magic in this cosmic battle between the dark and the light that I believe is going to occur very soon. And I'm not talking about God defeating evil during the apocalypse. I'm talking about this phony dark versus light battle that's going to come right before that will help fool people into buying into the New Age. What all of these New Agers and conspiracy theorists are doing is slowly but surely recruiting people onto Team White Magic to defeat the Black Magician Illuminati and the globalist control agenda. And of course, this all ties in with the Ascended Masters, who Alice Bailey says make up the Great White Brotherhood, who will help humanity defeat the evil dark archons, which, as I've said in previous parts, according to them, the archons are led by Jehovah, the God of the Bible. This is very serious spiritual warfare we're talking about here. And just to be clear, like I've said before, this counterfeit New World Order is real, just like a counterfeit $100 bill is physically real. It all has to be real for this plan to work, and that's the point. And it's the fact that it is very real that is giving all these New Age conspiracy theorists real power and validity, and it's giving power and validity to their message, to their prescription about how to deal with the problem. And that's why this deception is going to be so powerful. People in growing numbers are researching this stuff, realizing that it's real, and then they go to people like Jones and Ike for advice on what to do, and they tell people to unite, to resist it, to realize you're a powerful, conscious being. You know, Ike tells people to let go of religion because it's one of the tools of control. Jones tells people, all of us of every religion have to unite and stand up against these people. You know, people of every religion uniting, that's the satanic New Age.
I'm a Christian, but I like, the Christianity that actually read the Bible about Christ and all that. I totally love Christ. I love Jesus Christ. I don't love the interpretation of the churches growing up telling me I'm a devil, I'm going to hell, so they're up on some high horse.
His allegiance to the New Age usually flies under the radar, but if you're familiar with the New Age dialect and where the New Age comes from, it's difficult to avoid the serious implications of what he says. The New Age propaganda just screams at you.
And that secret was not a secret at all, and it made this country special despite all our evils. The will and the dream to build that new Atlantis was special and was pure.
So first and probably most importantly is Alex Jones's open allegiance to what are known as the mystery schools. Now, like I've alluded to earlier, the mystery schools are the ancient foundation for all occultism, including the New Age and Freemasonry. And the New Age authorities will tell you it's all connected with the Brotherhood of Ascended Masters, the spiritual hierarchy, which are clearly just Satan and his angels masquerading as spiritual ministers of light and goodness. Have to understand Gnosticism in order to understand what's happening. Gnosticism, like I said, teaches that humanity is enslaved by dark entities called archons, and it teaches that Jehovah, the God of the Bible, is the lead archon. He's the prime oppressor of humanity, the one behind everything. He tried to imprison us in the Garden of Eden and keep us in a mere animal-like, robotic state. And the serpent of Genesis, Satan, is the good guy who tried to help us and awaken us out of our slumber that Jehovah tried to keep us in. It is Satan, as Madame Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley taught, who gave us consciousness, who gave us spiritual freedom. Now, New Age mystery school type beliefs have been around since the beginning, but Gnosticism specifically, remember, like I said in an earlier video, Gnosticism is a flavor of New Age ice cream. Gnosticism first emerged right after the early Christian church first got going. Now, that should sound a little suspicious to people. A belief system that completely flips the Bible upside down first came onto the scene almost immediately after Jesus came, ascended into heaven, and the New Testament was written. Right after that, a completely inverted version appears. Right after the New Testament was written, the Gnostic Gospels emerged. And in the Gnostic Gospels, it tries to paint Jesus as being some sort of, Buddhist-type New Age guru. Okay, this is spiritual warfare. Now, New Agers will claim that the Gnostic Gospels are the true accounts, but of course that's what they'll say. They are committed to their satanic Gnostic worldview, so of course they're going to say that the Gnostic Gospels are the true ones. That shouldn't really be a surprise to anybody. But the vast majority of scholars date the canonical Gospels of the Bible, that is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They were written well before the Gnostic Gospels were, but it's not really up for debate among people who aren't deceived or delusional. The biblical Gospels and the entire rest of the New Testament was written before the Gnostic texts, and it's pretty obvious why that is. Because in the first century, and most scholars date the Gnostic text to the 2nd century AD at the earliest, that is the year 100 and after, and all the biblical New Testament texts were written somewhere between 50 and 90 AD. And this is when the original eyewitnesses to Christ and the original apostles, some of them at least, were still alive. If I'm not mistaken, the final eyewitness to die was the Apostle John, who wrote the book of John and Revelation, and some say he lived well after the year 100. And like I said, it's pretty obvious why the satanic Gnostic texts weren't written until after the year 100. Because before that time, the original eyewitnesses and original apostles to Jesus Christ were still alive and could discredit the Gnostic texts. The original eyewitnesses and apostles had authority. And Satan is smart. If he had started spreading Gnosticism too early when Peter and Paul and John were still alive, those texts would have easily been discredited. Peter would have said, that's not what Jesus said. I walked with him. He didn't say those things. He didn't say we're all gods. And Paul, who had a direct encounter with Christ on the road to Damascus, would have easily been able to tell what were and weren't authentic texts that accurately represented Jesus and his teachings. Okay, same with John. So like I said, Satan's smart. He waited until all those people were dead. The timing is just too coincidental. The Gnostic texts all dated 2nd century and later, after everyone had, all the original eyewitnesses were dead. Those Gnostic texts started emerging immediately after all the original eyewitnesses and apostles had died, because they are part of satanic warfare, satanic spiritual warfare against the truth. And what I'm convinced happened was, Satan simply said, okay, Jesus is long gone from the earth, all the eyewitnesses are dead. Let's start spreading the idea that I was the good guy in the garden and that God was the bad guy who created this material world as a prison for people. And let's start spreading this idea that the whole world is under the enslavement of these evil beings. And let's just say that it's God and his angels who are behind it all. It's really that simple, I think. And all Satan did was switch the roles. And then Satan no doubt said to his angels, let's actually start building up this evil prison planet. Let's build up the bloodlines, put them in power. Let's build up this matrix, build up this evil world government. And then when the time comes, we'll blame it all on God or Christianity or whatever. We'll blame it on God, on the Bible, on the biblical worldview, on Jews and Christians. And trust me, there's a growing number of New Age people who claim that it is a biblical worldview that is behind the evil prison planet.
Blijf ijverig werken aan al jouw 5 heilige lichamen. Jullie emotionele lichaam, jullie mentale lichaam, jullie fysieke lichaam, jullie spirituele lichaam en jullie astrale lichaam zullen allemaal worden aangepakt, geheeld en opgewaardeerd als de ultieme voorbereiding op de gebeurtenis waardoor jullie in slechts 1 enkel moment in de 5D nieuwe aarde realiteit zullen worden gecapituleerd. Begrijp dat de waanzin die momenteel op jullie planeet plaatsvindt een goddelijk doel dient. Een groot deel van de bewoners van de planeet Aarde heeft angst gekozen als hun primaire frequentie van waaruit zij werken. Elk wezen heeft een vrije wilskeuze. Hun zielen hebben besloten dat zij meer tijd nodig hebben in een negatieve realiteit om bepaalde ervaringen op te doen die zij belangrijk achten voor het evolutionaire pad van hun eigen ziel. Zij kunnen de vrije wilskeuze maken om een actie te ondernemen en uit te checken uit deze realiteit. Alle hoge vibrerende wezens achterlatend om het goddelijk werk van bewuste evolutie en ascensie te doen. Zo dragen zij op hun eigen manier bij aan het essentieproces op aarde. Met minder op angst gebaseerde vibraties aanwezig op de planeet kan de kritische massa van positieve vibraties worden bereikt en de tijdlijn van de uiteindelijke gebeurtenis worden versneld. Jullie hebben je vrijwillig aangemeld om hier te komen, om de mensheid bij de hand te nemen en hen te laten zien dat het onmogelijke inderdaad mogelijk is. Jullie zijn degene die anderen begeleiden naar de hemel op aarde, als hun nieuwe woonplaats. En op dezelfde manier hebben deze meer negatief georiënteerde wezens zich vrijwillig aangemeld om het grondgebied van de aarde aan jullie over te dragen. Zij zijn zich ervan bewust dat zij op dit moment te onvolwassen zijn om deze massale verschuiving te bewerkstelligen en zij laten de planeet aan jullie over. De tijd waarover gesproken is uiteindelijk aangebroken. Wij weten dat jullie bezorgd, verdrietig en zelfs boos zijn op jullie wereld. We weten ook dat jullie het op dit moment niet herinneren. Maar toen jullie de kans kregen om naar deze planeet te komen, voelden jullie je alsof jullie de loterij hadden gewonnen. En dat hebben jullie ook. Bereid al jullie 5 heilige lichamen voor en vrees niet, geliefden. Dit is de overwinning van het licht. Het is Gods plan. God wint altijd en jullie zijn het leger van God. Wij willen onze boodschap aan jullie vandaag afsluiten met de suggestie dat jullie de volgende woorden tot jullie dagelijkse mantra maken. Deze woorden zullen je hogere krachten verankeren in de overblijfselen van de derde dimensionale wereld die als een kaartenhuis in elkaar stort. Ik ben God. Ik ben soeverein. Ik ben vrij. Ik ben God. Ik ben soeverein. Ik ben vrij.
Dankjewel voor het kijken naar deze Bijbelstudie. Wij hopen dat je erdoor gezegend wordt. Zou je meer van deze Bijbelstudies willen ontvangen en willen bekijken, dan willen wij je vragen of je erover na wilt denken om ons te steunen met een gift. Want met deze gift van jou is het mogelijk nog meer Bijbelstudies online te zetten. Je kunt naar onze website gaan en een eenmalige gift doen, maar je kunt ook lid worden op het vriendenprogramma. Kijk op onze website. Alvast hartelijk bedankt.